Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Daily Bone Podcast, Monday, April 8th, Monday after the NFT NYC conference week. Big shout out to everybody that got a chance to hang out with us in New York City. Big, huge shout out to everybody that came to our NFT NYC event on Thursday. It was incredible to meet everybody, but we are back to business as usual. And today we are going to discuss the upcoming Tensor token airdrop going live today to Solana NFT traders. We are going to discuss the Ordinals and Runes weekend rally and the overnight Bitcoin surge that we saw as multiple institutions announced their applications for Bitcoin ETFs trading in Hong Kong. Can't say that any of that is surprising. We are really just getting started here. It is going to be a wild 12 to 24 months, in my opinion, from what I can see in this market and with regards to this cycle. So anyway, today's show is brought to you in partnership with Kreatorhood. Kreatorhood is an Ethereum NFT marketplace that will be airdropping 9% of its upcoming token on Wednesday, so the day after tomorrow, to NFT traders based on volume, based on the collections that they hold, and based on whether they participated in the Kreatorhood beta. Kreatorhood also has an incentive model which pays out traders on a daily basis with their token and gives existing token holders a revenue share from marketplace fees. So a lot to dive into with this one. Very, very excited to learn more and to hear from the team. In the meantime, give them a follow on Twitter. That's at Kreatorhood, creator with a K, and list NFTs on Kreatorhood to qualify for the upcoming airdrop. So big shout out to today's partner, Kreatorhood. Excited to hear more. Before we dive into the weather report, Clemente, how you doing this morning, amigo?
I'm good, man. I went home when I got back to Miami on Saturday. I literally slept. I've slept like 15 hours the last like in a 24-hour period. So it was a tough one, but I feel rejuvenated to be back. I was in Seattle having to wake up early. Now I'm back. I got my whiteboard. I got the sun out. I'm fired up, man. I'm excited to be back.
I love how the whiteboard is a key item.
I was going to say, do you not think that Clemente looks like a different person? You look baked on Friday. I thought you were high on the show. Like, I'm not kidding, Clemente. You giggled for 45 minutes continuously. I've never seen anyone do that. So it's good to see you back on form, whiteboarding, affirmations. Good to be back.
Definitely good to be back in our kind of like regular rhythm. Yeah, look, the conference week is an exhausting week for sure. The other thing is that there's just so many crypto conferences. It's actually pretty funny because when you think about, it's April 8th, 2024. There's already been NFT Paris. There's been, the NFT NYC obviously just happened. Other people were going all sorts of different things. Like some people were going to Complex Con. It's not an NFT conference, but NFT people went to it. There was ETH Denver. That was another one. There's Token 2049 in a couple of weeks. It really is crazy just how many there are. Anyway, let's get to cooking. Signal, you can please kick off this weather report whenever you have a minute. I'm excited to hear about what's going on in the NFT market. Let's rock.
Absolutely, Pio. We got that Monday, April the 8th coming in, that ETH market volume at 18 million. Solana market volume at 6 million. Ordinals market just absolutely cooking at 33 million. Onto leaders on Ethereum. Most collections are pretty much flat over the weekend, with Miladies leading the way up to 20% to 5 ETH. And Potatoes, they're up to 1.6 ETH. Over on Solana, it's all about the Tensorians. They pumped 35% ahead of the Tensor token launch. And Solana SMB Gen 2 gained 93% to 58.5 SOL on the back of a proposal to remove royalties from the collection. And finally, over on Ordinals, Rune Pups led the way, doing a 3x to 0.07 BTC. And Runestones are up to a new all-time high of 0.075 BTC. On a crypto roundup, well, if you look, crypto rallied over the week and exploded overnight on Sunday, with Bitcoin up to 72,300 and ETH at 3,620 and Solana at $183. Who could predict it? We'll see this comeback. Standout tokens on the meme coin side. Well, meme coins did pretty well over the weekend, with Blast meme coin pack, that's up 70%. Base coin Normie, that's up 65%. And WIF is back up to 4.2 billion market cap. Over the weekend, the top 3 stories. Well, firstly, Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin all announced they'll be listing the TNSR token ahead of its launch today. Today, TNSR users will be able to open the crates, earn from season 1 to 3, and claim the TNSR inside. Season 4 is kicked off with users earning points for activity on TNSR with added multipliers for holding Centaurian NFTs. Secondly, over on Ordinals, that was just up over the back of the 66 million in volume, with many collections hitting new all-time high, including Puppets, they're at 0.42, the Rune Pups, they're at 0.07 BTC, and Runestones at 0.075 BTC. Ansem talked about the Pups token online stream from New York, and a token ran up to $6 to $6 to $30, and calls the Runes Mania to begin with less than 2 weeks before its launch. And then lastly, the FTX estate sold between 25 and 30 million Solana at a price of $64 per soul to a number of buyers, including Galaxy Trading and Pantera Capital. This is about 2/3 of their total SOL holdings. But don't worry about the new buyers making a quick flip, though. The SOL acquired vests over a total of 4 years. That is all the big headlines from the weekend, and it is back to you in the studio.
The big bad FTX estate selling their Solana, that was going to kill Solana, if you remember. Love to see the reality versus the perception and the narratives that people run within the market sometimes. Anyway, some updates from the Daily Bone newsletter, which is emailed to anyone that subscribes at dailybones.com. First story, the Camino Genesis page is live to view the airdrop allocation of ticker KMNO, which is currently trading pre-market OTC at 19 cents. Next story. After 1 million in funds were lost via an exploit in the Solarium Telegram bot, the bonk devs were able to track and freeze 95% of the assets. The bonk devs are cracked, ladies and gentlemen. Next story. Goldman Sachs, UBS Securities, Citigroup Global Markets, and Citadel Securities have been added to BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF as authorized participants. So all the legacy institutions are trying to get a piece at this point of the Bitcoin ETF. Me and Nick, fun fact, on I believe it was Friday, we were invited to go to the New York Stock Exchange for the closing bell. We got a chance to meet some people. We met Jan Van Eck, the CEO of Van Eck, which was interesting. And one thing that was interesting is he thought, when I introduced myself, he was so violently confused by my name, despite him having an ethnic name of Jan, that he was like, "Oh, so you're anonymous on Twitter, and like that's your alias?" And I was like, "No, that's like my name. It's an Italian name." And he just like, even after that, just like was having trouble processing it. It was interesting to talk to a true 1%er and just confuse the shit out of him. But it was very cool to be at the New York Stock Exchange and to see how it actually goes. And unfortunately, we didn't get any content there. That was the goal, but still an interesting experience. AI-powered social simulation game Today raises $5 million in seed round funding ahead of its free mint tomorrow. So a lot of activity in the kind of crypto space at this point. A lot of stories that would have been significant stories or perceived as significant stories from the market, call it a year ago, are now sort of everyday things. So it is really amazing to see where we are at in the market now versus where we were at a year ago, with Bitcoin living at all-time high. And now I'm starting to see people, like Will Clemente, who is a Bitcoin on-chain analyst that I am a big fan of, and I recommend anybody follow, like Ansem, who I guess I would define as a crypto Twitter influencer, both tweeting at the same time, something that I tweeted a few months back, by the way, that retail is not going to pay any attention to Bitcoin until 100K. It's just how it works. They don't understand that right now it's a new all-time high for Bitcoin. This isn't a moment of significance to retail. It just doesn't, it's too complex for them to understand. 100K, nice round number, really big number. It's a salary that people strive to get in the United States. Everyone wants a 100K salary when they come out of college and things like that. That's a number that they're going to understand. And so it'll be very interesting to see the path from current prices of Bitcoin to 100K, and beyond. It's going to get juicy. I feel like we've kind of gone through the first leg of this bull run, and there's plenty more to go. Anyway, first major story to discuss here, the Tensor airdrop. So the Tensor token, ticker TNSR, is launching today at 11 a.m. Eastern time. with tokenomics and timing to be shared this morning by the Tensor Foundation, a separate foundation from the Tensor organization that actually builds the trading platform, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Tensor boxes earned from seasons 1 to 3 will be openable today and will contain the Tensor tokens. Coinbase, by the way, is also expected to list Tensor. So big United States-based exchange listing. Love to see that. Absolutely love to see it. That's awesome. Tensorians, the NFT collection of Tensor, will be receiving 1% of the token supply today. Those currently sit at a 42 Solana floor. Season 4 of Tensor has started at this point, and it contains updated benefits for Tensorian holders. 1 Tensorian equals 1.25x points. 10 Tensorians equals 1.5x points. 50 Tensorians equals 2x points. So for comparison, if you want to do a little head-to-head comparison of Blur, which is an Ethereum NFT marketplace, the Blur token debuted at a $250 million market cap upon launch. This was also during February 2023, the literal pretty much bottom of the bear market, just over a year ago. And today, Blur's token has a market cap of $850 million, 1.6 billion fully diluted. So Clemente, any additional detail that you'd like to provide from what you've seen about, the Tensor token, the mechanics at play here, what you expect to see today? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm very curious what it's going to debut at. Like I'm watching, obviously we saw, like you were saying, Blur debuted at a $250 million market cap, a little bit less than a billion fully diluted. Right now, however, it's at a $850 million market cap, $1.6 billion fully diluted. So that's kind of the only comparison we have, right? Is the Blur token. You can compare it to maybe looks rare, right? But this is pretty much the biggest stimulus we've gotten from an NFT perspective since, I don't really count Jupe, but since Blur in November, right? So what I'm watching for is what kind of action that could have on the existing Solana NFT price action. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And when you think about it, right now, the NFT market is not in the best spot of all time. I don't think that is, anything that people can deny. If you kind of take a look at the last, let's call it a year. 1 year ago, you're just in a flat out bear market. It's wild. Spencer Ventures is buying all the pudgy penguins during that time, which is kind of funny. But so it's just a straight up bear market. You kind of go through the summer. If I recall correctly, at the tail end of the summer is when BlackRock, or when the news came out that BlackRock was applying for a Bitcoin ETF, filing for a Bitcoin ETF. And that's kind of when the fireworks started. You saw little pumps in Bitcoin, then sell-offs, then pumps, then sell-offs. Bitcoin was basically bouncing between 20 and 30K. Didn't see a ton of movement from Ethereum. Then in the fall, you saw a lot of movement on Solana. So you'd already seen some movement with Bitcoin. Then you saw a lot of movement on Solana. Then after that is when you started to see some NFT action. And that was when liquidity circled back to NFTs. And then some of that liquidity has certainly stuck around. But for example, let's just take Pudgy Penguins, which is kind of the sort of consensus #1 Ethereum NFT collection. At least, look, last week I was talking to a lot of investment folks, right? People that run funds, whether they're crypto funds, NFT funds, the type of people that are, chumming it up with Spencer Ventures. Let's put it that way, And all of those people kind of, their position is that the consensus #1 Ethereum NFT is Pudgy Penguins. Obviously, there's some nuance to that. There's other, there's other collections that come into play on both Ethereum and Solana, but that's kind of like the #1 in their minds. And let's just use it as an example. We saw Pudgy Penguins rally to a 20+ Ethereum floor, and now it's actually pulled back in a significant way. And a lot of people are asking questions about the current state of affairs with the NFT market. And what that state of affairs is that it's not the main focus of crypto right now. But it is a resilient market, as I've talked about before on this show. And ultimately, you have to expect a rotation of liquidity back into it. And I wonder if an airdrop like today's is something that prompts that. Signal, any thoughts on this? I saw you on mute.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that for this is predicted to come in around 2 to 3 billion on the valuation front. What I think will be interesting to see whether this increases FOMO for any other upcoming airdrops. It was an interesting tweet from Cyrus, I think today, where he was saying what he was surprised to see at NFT NYC was how many people were not farming Blast. Like, it's just not on the radar. It's just something that they don't want to do, and people have sort of are in different lanes. And I think if we see FOMO on the Solana side, could potentially see increased activity on the Blast side and also on the Magic Eden side as well, because it feels like the attention on the timeline is on meme coins, but I think there's still like a good bunch of people still farming the NFT marketplace drops, but obviously not enough people, because when I look at some of the activity on, say, on Blast, like some of the platforms I'm using, you can just tell that people aren't really using it because it's the same names I'm seeing all the time, especially on like applications like District 1. It's just the same people doing it, and you would expect to see a lot more activity. So I'm interested to see if this actually sparks some FOMO for other coming drops.
Well, that's going to be very interesting, but also you have to keep in mind too, like right now, as I mentioned, the NFT market is not favored compared to other, corners of the crypto market. And it's never easy to capitalize on this stuff. If it was easy, then everybody would be rich, right? Everyone would be worth like $10 million because it's just so easy to predict where liquidity is going to go. And it's so easy to buy things when nobody else wants them, right? If you just bought all of the most valuable NFTs a year and a half ago when everybody, was a bear market and NFTs were dead and crypto was dead and Bitcoin was down to 16K, then you'd be rich right now, but it's really hard to do that. So it'll be interesting to you go ahead.
Sorry, but Pierre, on that point, I think this is like a bit different from trying to pick which NFT will survive that lull that we had and then try and figure out which one to appreciate. This is about attention, and all the attention is over on meme coins because everybody perceives it as the get rich quick scheme plan, even though statistically most people end up losing money. Whilst the airdrop marketplaces, these are just under farmed strategies, which is just if it's over farmed, then it turns out not to be worth your time. But if it's under farmed, it turns out to be as lucrative as the wormhole drop. So I do think like something like it will be really interesting to see like Tensorians, the Tensor airdrop. That's kind of going to be like a litmus test for whether it brings attention back from meme coins and back into farming NFT marketplaces, because the volume has been low or pretty flat for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. And, names like Blast come to mind. Clemente just pulled up Cyrus's tweet about Blast. Got a chance to meet Cyrus in person. Really, really nice guy. It was awesome to kind of hear his thoughts about the state of the market. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Signal. Also, what's interesting is what happens after the token comes out. I'd love to know, I can't wait to see what happens with the Tensor token in terms of like a rally, just what the price action looks like. Call it over the next month or two. Signal, you pointed out that a lot of focus has been on meme coins recently. I actually also think that to see the real benefits of meme coins, that's like another thing that you have to hold for like a year, which isn't the way people traditionally think about them. But for example, Dog with Hat, I genuinely think that we have fireworks on that thing like a year from now. And I think that, CZ said, if you want to be rich, you have to be able to hold, or you'll never be rich if you can't hold. And that's the way I am personally operating with meme coins too. And I know that that's not the native way that people operate. So that's something to think about too. Like, look at that. And people got kind of shook out of WIF a few times at this point when people said it was the top when they were, doing the fundraise for the Sphere and things like that. So yeah, a lot going on there. We're joined by Choose Rich Nick, and I'm going to throw it to him in just a minute. Some other detail that I want to communicate regarding... Oh, just Nick. All right. He's humble today. Regarding the Tensor airdrop is that Tensorians are the only NFT collection to receive the airdrop. And the other folks that received it are users of the Backpack application. So the Backpack application is an application that's developed by the founders of Mad Lads through that organization, but not the Mad Lads holders themselves. So for example, I have a Mad Lad, but I am not going to receive Tensor token for having the Mad Lad. Only Backpack users, people that actually used Backpack, are actually using it. And then also people that are building on Tensor protocol. So people building building applications on Tensor Protocol. So if you held the Tensorian NFT collection, that was the key NFT collection to get an allocation. Other NFT collections do not receive any allocation. But people using products and people building products in the kind of Tensor network, Tensor ecosystem, like the backpack application, like people building on Tensor Protocol, did receive it. So there's some clarity there if anybody had any thoughts or questions on that. Nick, how you doing this morning, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I wanted to contribute to what was being discussed.
I love it. Can't wait. What would you like to contribute, amigo?
I agree with Signal.
Okay.
I also saw Ansem tweeting about that the Tensor airdrop would add money to circulate back into NFTs. It is interesting to see where the overall market is at. I also see a little bit of exhaustion / frustration about meme coins from crypto Twitter as a whole. Part of that surrounded like comments about like Sol Jakey and like their thing in Times Square. I just saw some frustration from crypto Twitter of just like not be like, I don't know, just a little bit of exhaustion about meme coins. Like it's like split as to whether or not that makes sense. That said, like I had received messages about meme coins where there were like what people we would call normies typically, like talking with me about tokens, and they just had no interest in the NFT side of things.
Yep.
But they were like, but I got texted by someone that was like, yo, but if you end up dropping a meme coin, let me know. Like I'm interested. And I think the other part of that is it's accessible. You can buy any amount of money at any point to that token versus NFTs just don't give you that ability. Yes, there are like fractionalized offerings and things like that, but the average person is not familiar with what those fractionalized offerings are. And I'm not sure if any of them have gained significant popularity. So I'm actually a little more skeptical around the NFT side of things, as much as that hurts to say, primarily because like you're not going to see as many people ape into Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example, as you're going to just see people rush into some sort of meme coin. I think the 404 side of things. But yeah. So I think that's the only sort of relevant area which enables the two things to connect. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the way you're communicating that is certainly insightful. NFTs are the riskiest corner of crypto. They just are. They're illiquid comparatively, right? Because I can just sell, like you pointed out, a fungible token. I can sell any amount of it at any time by pressing a button. And with an NFT, even though organizations like Tensor and Blur have created mechanics where you can sell into a bid immediately, it's still significantly less liquid than a fungible token. It just is. Quite frankly, I actually think a fungible token like a meme coin is just flat out easier to understand. People are like, it's like Bitcoin, but it's funny or something like that, right? Clemente?
But within that, like when you look at ordinals, for example, or NFTs as a whole, like it's one of the ways, if you are willing to take the time and just double down on one specific ecosystem, like everyone on ordinals did with runes, for example, or with like those people were early, they stuck to it 6-12 months, just kept educating themselves, kept like staying in the loop. That now what you're seeing is the FOMO's coming in and those people are able to reap the rewards. So many people are making generational wealth right now on ordinals, and that's probably been the biggest winner in 2024 over meme coins, because there's been people that, like, so many more people have been able to capitalize on the increased liquidity. And that's probably going to be the biggest narrative to watch for in the next 30 days, given Solana meme coin like market cap in comparison to Bitcoin, since it basically has no meme coins, and then comparing the market cap between the two, it's definitely going to be the big one to watch for.
I'm going to push back and say that Ordinals hasn't been a bigger success than the meme coin market, like in the past 6 months. If you just look at like total volume, single meme coins are outperforming the entire NFT market on like a daily basis at points, not every day, but at points. I think one of Ansem's like cat, or like, like a meme coin that represented like one of his things, literally outperformed the entire NFT market, including Ordinals, in one calendar day. So,
but that's also like you buy it and you literally need to sell the same day. Like with people with like the percentage of people that actually make money on that versus lose, like it's so PvP versus Bitcoin Puppets, for example, did a 30x in a 30-day period. And that's not like a pump and dump. It's a sustained type of volume over time.
sure.
Yeah, but
Whiff is like that too, though.
These are just two completely different trading styles. And so that's just the bottom line. I can on my phone get liquidity at any given moment. Well, as long as the current conversation is around whether or not the Solana market or the Solana blockchain even works, because it hasn't been, and you can't get your transactions to go through. So you have to keep just trying for it to go through, which I also saw some Ethereum people talking about it, being like, yeah, Ethereum went through the same thing, like it just in a different way. Like we had like gas wars and things like that occurred last cycle. Like overall, blockchain technology is really interesting from like the ledger side of things, but from like how all these things resolve and gain consensus is like a really frustrating thing. And it's like just costly computationally, and there's like race condition situations to deal with. The thing I was going to say is, who's the team that that Thread Guy just joined?
Monad.
That's one that I've been hearing a lot about before this happened. Which was that they're using that they're EVM compatible layer 1, and their the amount of transaction volume they can do is 100,000 TPS, I think. Although it says layer 1 10,000 TPS. Solana is still doing that volume, so isn't it? Like I don't know how many what the TPS is on Solana. Maybe it's this says 65,000 transactions per second. So the only distinction here is it's EVM compatible, I guess. But that one has been receiving a lot of hype. At the end of the day, that whole consensus algorithm thing is like needs like resolution, but apparently the team is working on it and attempting to resolve that. Anyways, I just think all of these conversations are relevant. Meme coins, though, bottom line is they just are accessible. And the guy who sent me a message because he's like he was a manager at a building that I was working at, or that I lived at, literally just messages me out of nowhere. He's like, yo, I've been seeing your stuff. Do you have a meme coin? It just gives him a way to participate and have fun without any sort of like having to have a significant amount of money involved. And I think that's how people want to participate. They want to put in $100. They want to put in $500. They want to put in $1,000. And frankly, that's how I've operated with meme coins for the most part, is I don't even play with more than, call it 10 grand at any given point in the like in my entire meme coin portfolio. That's about it. And if it goes up, if I get a 10x, holy shit, I'm at $100,000. That's an incredible situation. And that's what we're all looking for. We're all looking for those 100x's, basically, is what we're trying to find. But we don't need to do it with our entire portfolio. And people just want to have fun. And that's kind of what NFTs represented as well.
Yeah, and look, wonderful points, Nick. And then also on top of that, I think that there's some sort of, like I was kind of pointing out, a base level understanding of meme coins. Like he just kind of gets what it is. He's like, it's a crypto coin. I can put a little bit of money into it and it might go up, and that's happening in the market a bunch. People still are not in on NFTs. They're like, it's a digital picture. They still don't get that. They just fundamentally don't. Like most people don't. And the other thing is, what's an example of an NFT that you could have bought for $100 recently that 100x'd? There isn't one, right? Bodago's, 9 months ago or however long ago, sub $100. Okay, cool. Now north of $1,000. But there's not 50 examples of NFTs that you can buy right now for $200 or less that are just about to 100x. It's just a fact, Nick.
100%. I wanted to address a stupid idiot in the comments real quick who goes by Alfalfa. Just absolutely dumb. He wrote, Nick, be honest, LOL. Sol crashed a few weeks ago completely. And now for a week, most transactions fail. This is what you believe is better than ETH? Hey,
Yeah.
Alfalfa. Well, you're always a negative asshole in the comments. So I just wanted to say, you need to dig deep inside to really find out why you have such a poor mentality and why you've been making these poor decisions. My assumption is you live in your mom's basement. Second, I want to just address the real question specifically so that we can really get to the bottom of it. Dude, where's all the action been in the marketplace? Is anyone talking about ETH? Is anybody talking about ETH? No one's been discussing it because the average Joe still can't use the damn thing. So yeah, is it better? Well, yeah, because a lot of people have been making stupid money on dumb meme coins, and that is a lot of people that are in there. And I've seen so many photos of the taxi cab driver trading meme coins. A woman using the Solana phone in Africa to trade meme coins with Bird Eye and Phantom and everything else. That just isn't the case. There is the base argument, which you could get for Ethereum, but Alfalfa, I'm questioning your decision to be watching this show when my assumption is what you really need to do is go get a fucking job. Probably one where you're standing on your feet all day because you just can't figure out anything better. So
there we go.
Okay, so if I was going to sum up in one sentence, Solana is having issues because of the insanely high demand and usage, by users that want to use. Mert had a tweet. I believe it was at maybe Fred Krueger or Mert responded to somebody and had a great tweet because he was just pointing out this thing is going down because of insanely high demand. Anyway, we're going to shift gears here. Go ahead,
I was going to say that on that point, though, I do think Base has a very good chance of actually becoming number one or number two, up there, top three for meme coin action as we go into the next 12 to 18 months, especially if they come out with their own token. Because on the meme coin side of things, Solana had the culture and has the culture. And even though they've got these tech issues at the moment, people don't care. People are continuing just to ferociously trade meme coins over there. But I do think that if Base comes out with its own token, it already is having this culture where meme coins are thriving rather than somewhere over on AVAX where you are having the action, but it doesn't quite have that culture, and it's coming more from a foundation perspective. The AVAX Foundation is going to come in and support and buy it, etc. And that connotation isn't quite what the market is looking for. You're just looking for complete left curve. I just want to degen it, and it has to come organically. So I do think Base as an L2 and the spin-off of that of L3s, we have a degen chain now. Those ones are starting to come in and getting more and more attention. And I think that's something to be looking out for the next 12 to 18 months. These undervalued blockchains, which have their own token and are getting the attention of the meme coin economy.
Yeah, and on that point, Sig, one really interesting wrinkle that I am curious to see how it plays out is if Base. I don't think, if I gun to my head, I don't think Base has a token, but it would be really juicy if it did, because
I think it will. I think it will.
Well, that's insanely juicy because it'll be the first publicly traded organization, Coinbase, that also puts out a token. I mean, in terms of publicly traded crypto organizations, we basically only have Coinbase and MicroStrategy now. Maybe we get a couple more. Maybe Circle goes public. People have talked about Circle going public. But yeah, I mean, so it's almost like, do I buy Coinbase stock? Do I buy the Base token? How are they going to relate to each other? Do they relate to each other at all? Does that matter at all? Probably not. Who knows? So that's interesting stuff. So shifting gears here to Ordinals. Ordinals saw massive volume. Bitcoin Ordinals, ladies and gentlemen. NFTs on Bitcoin. Nick?
Well, actually, yeah, you go ahead with this. I think the runes thing is interesting, and also the friend tech, but yeah.
Yeah, Ordinal saw massive volume over the weekend. Many collections reaching new all-time highs. Top movers are Rune Pups, up 300% to 0.075 Bitcoin. Pizza Ninjas, my guy Trevor, up to 0.08 Bitcoins. Let's go, Trevor. Natcats, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, a little hometown shout out there. That's like when your team wins, you know, when your buddy's NFT collection is doing well. Come on now. Natcats up 71% to 0.048 Bitcoins. Bitcoin Puppets up 38% to 0.37 Bitcoins. Made a new all-time high of 0.42 BTC. Last one, Blob, free airdrop. By the way, Bitcoin Puppets being this high is crazy. I mean, that is just wild. Shout out to everybody that saw that coming and bought them at 0.02. Last one, Blob has a free airdrop Saturday, peaked at 0.04 BTC. Love to see it. Clemente, we got a little pop out of Nicky Boy here. What do you think?
I mean, ordinals are very interesting. It might be the most interesting to watch for outside of just random meme coins. The runes narrative is interesting. Rune Pups, which I, by the way, sold at 0.01, rally to 0.08. It was basically just Ansem. All it took was Ansem talking about them on a live stream, and that kicked off the runes kind of mania. We saw R6 go up to 0.08. Same with the rune stones at 0.08. When literally Signal, actually, shout out to Signal, was talking about them 2 weeks ago. They got as low as 0.025 each. I think one of them was at 0.03, but that's a 3x off the bottom almost. And then basically as soon as that happened, then the trickle down effect happened to Pizza Ninjas, Natcats. So we saw like 2x's on Ordinal. So it is interesting seeing that surge in volume. The volume is coming back up. It bottomed at like 8 million last week. And then obviously we saw Bitcoin Puppets almost flipping Node Monkeys. Bitcoin Puppets got to 0.4. Node Monkeys were at 0.42, and then some sweeps came in, and Node Monkeys are back up to 0.55.
Can I say something? I would I would understand Bitcoin Puppets flipping Node Monkeys. I wouldn't be confused by that. I would understand it. Nick?
That's just pissing me off. Dude, if Ansem's going to keep just pumping the market, I'm in his DMs right now. I may have to actually blow him, but that wasn't what I wanted to say.
Are you in his DMs?
I'm in his DMs right now, and like things may get sexual. I'm just saying that that's not, I don't say that to be inappropriate. I'm just talking about the practical reality of what's required in order for me to succeed in this market. I'm not trying to be inappropriate. I'm just talking about me understanding the way things work around here.
I think he may have some commentary that would contradict, like, I think he would push back.
Okay, I'm just letting you know what the situation is right now. But the thing I wanted to talk about associated with these ordinals has to do with the runes at this point. What the hell is the, like, Trevor's been talking about, like, basically all the Pizza Ninjas are going to get all the alpha on runes. Like, there's some sort of action that needs to take place at this point in time. What do we need to be doing right now in order to be prepared over the next, like, week or something like that? So, other than, like I said, blowing Ansem, like, what do we need to be doing?
Well, you can buy if you want to get runes exposure, you can just buy the rune stones. You can buy R6. You can buy rune pups, which are going to get an allocation when runes go live. There's also a couple other collections you can look at. But what Easy was talking about, which is interesting, is basically just hold on to your Bitcoin. And once runes go live, you can just pick your winners there and buy from there instead of trying to buy the underlying NFT collection or Ordinals collection. This is the only other graphic that I wanted to share that I thought.
How about Rune Mania Miner? Did that thing have any?
It hasn't moved. That has similar price action or similar mechanics to R6, which is you're just mining those runes. So just keep holding it, and you're going to get an allocation to your wallet once the rune goes live.
Is there anything that I need to do?
No.
And so I'm just going to get money airdrop to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how much it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be one of the first 10. That'll be up to the team to see if I don't know the specific mechanics behind it, but basically how much if they're going to pay to inscribe it. Inscription fees are also going to go through the roof. But the graphic that I thought was interesting is basically comparing, I was talking about this earlier, comparing the pre-runes, this is basically meme coins on Bitcoin, the market cap, comparing to Solana, and then Solana and the Bitcoin market cap. So it's hard not to be bullish on runes right now. And at least trying to play it or understand it before they go live is something worth doing right now.
Okay. Well, so what action? I want to dumb this down as simply as possible. What do I need to do right now in order to take advantage of this market? What's the best action that I can take right now?
Buy a rune stone.
Buy a rune stone. And the price of that is?
I think they're about 0.07.
Yeah, they're
0.07 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So this has you can basically, you take 0.07.
How much are we thinking I'm gonna make off this thing, huh?
Well, that's the problem. So right now it's at a 0.08 Bitcoin market cap. You multiply that by the price of Bitcoin, and then you multiply that by the total supply, which is 112,000 of these. And then you get the total market cap of what this, basically this meme coin is going to have.
Maybe buy MicroStrategy stock instead.
Is it a BRC20 token? That's it. No, Pia, we can't do that. We need to need to figure out this
No,
complicated
it's a
way.
completely new the Room protocol is a completely new protocol, which is improving on the BRC 20 protocol. That's the whole point of them, is to make fungibility better on Bitcoin.
Okay, so that is actually really interesting, because what we're saying is that we're improving the Bitcoin fungible. Is this a layer 2? Is this on Bitcoin itself? Is it similar to inscriptions? But like, where is it going? Like, or is it on the core Bitcoin network itself?
I don't know the technicals. Yeah, but it maybe Signal understands it. But all I know is, sorry, Space Hunter. But all I know is that it's going to be way easier to transact with compared to BRC20 tokens. Are basically a disaster. These are going to be way easier to trade on Bitcoin.
Is this on what's the network that that Trevor's been involved with since forever? Stacks. Is it on Stacks protocol? Is it on okay? Is it a competitor to Stacks?
Look, we're going to do our research.
Have that information. Here's the deal. On the next show, have the fucking information so that the audience can actually know what to do, rather than us just blob words for 10 minutes about it. Because the only thing that anybody in our audience has ever cared about is just tell me where to go click the button. That's the whole story. We could actually make this show 15 minutes.
Click this button and click that button and click this button.
About some stupid fucking thing that I did in my life. You know, we're going to pull and Pio or Clemente, whoever it will. There's some stupid thing that happened. That's our Larry David moment. And then we just jump into the next thing, which is tell me the button to click. Here are the next 3 buttons that we need to do. That's all that the audience wants.
Okay, but you asked for 17 different questions about it. I told you what button to click, and then you start giving me all this.
Oh, okay. It's 17. I think it was 2. It was literally 2. It's first, what is this protocol? 2, what buttons do I need to click? And right now, the only option that I have is to go spend 0.08 Bitcoin times whatever, $70,000 at this point. So spend $5,600 that I'm going to move away from Bitcoin, because I moved all my inscription money into that Rune Mania miner, which no one's fucking talking about at all. Dude, Easy's calls have been absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. We had that guy on here as a trader. You see he's not on the show today. That's why. Dude, I'm just losing money. This is
why did you buy Rune out of interest? Why did you buy the Rune Mania one as opposed to Runestone or just ARSIC?
Runestone didn't exist at that point in time. This was back when we were in Miami, like a month ago. I'm sitting here getting famous. You know, that's what's going on at that point. I'm talking to Easy, kind of talking down at him at that point in time, because that's how I treat all of the employees in our organization at this point, because I deserve it. And so I said, hey, Easy, like, let's step up your job, basically. And you need to start having some wins on these trades that you share with us,
Literally not
Otherwise-
part of his job description at all. Like, literally not part of his job description. Yeah, Clemente.
Let's put a bow on this, Nick. You can actually, if you want, you can buy the PUPS token, which is going to, right now, it's a BRC20 token. It's also on Solana. They did a one-way bridge to Solana, so you can't buy it on there as well. And you will get a token allocation depending on how much you own for when runes go live. So you can
So
buy
I'm
them.
going to buy a token on Solana and somehow get allocation on Bitcoin.
Yes.
But don't buy it on Solana, buy it on Bitcoin because it's
Yeah, that
trading
just
higher
sounds
over on
stupid to
Solana.
buy a Solana. Or where's the Solana alpha on Bitcoin? What the fuck?
What do you want me to tell you, dude? I try to give you something and then you.
What do you want, Nick? He's giving you the whole thing. Buy something on Solana. It's going to morph into a Bitcoin thing. You're going to be rich.
There's no way that's happening. Like, I'm just not touching. I like Signal's statement. There's no, but I'm just I'm now disappointed in Clemente also that he thought that seems like a trade. That he's trading Solana, expecting it to somehow increase his Bitcoin bags.
No, because what happened was Ansem basically, well, if you're like, we all know what happened with pups over the weekend, right? And so basically when it pumped, everybody was like, oh, where'd I go buy this? Where'd I go buy this? And the trade was go buy it on Bitcoin or go buy it on Solana. So everybody raced over to buying it on Solana, but it was actually more expensive over Solana. So you could have bought it on Bitcoin, bridge it over to Solana, and then had basically that arbitrage would have made you money. So if you've got time and you're not FOMOing in, go buy it over on Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean,
I like that direction.
yeah. Nick, I kind of feel like if you're just feeding for like for risk, you could just buy like whiff. Like, what if you just plowed a bunch of money into whiff? And
Dude, you're not giving me. I want like Ansem
complexity.
Or whatever, a cat. I don't know what type of pet owner this guy is. He'd be a shitty pet owner. I'm gonna be honest, based on the activity that I'm seeing online right now. He's just like basically tweeting his sex life like on the timeline, which is crazy. I think that's like just insane.
People seem to appreciate it. Maybe
investors are loving it. Investors everywhere. I'm talking about quote institutional investors are like, oh my god, this guy's tweeting about him having sex with the ladies again. Oh, man, it's just incredible. He's at the club again till 4 a.m. last night. Wow, love it. Ansem, we want to give you $1 million, dude, because you seem like the type of entrepreneur that we're interested in.
I'm Choose Rich Nick might have to start clubbing. And before you know it, we're going to have A16Z and interested in a potential.
They're going to be like, Nick, we saw you at the club last night on video. That was the thing. You mentioned Jan Van Neck earlier on the show.
Yeah.
One of the funniest interactions that I had was the brief moment where I was interacting with him and discussing how I staged a fight in front of a party at 1:30 a.m. This guy manages $100 billion. Like and that's the conversation that we're having. He did promptly walk away like soon after. And that's what I was anticipating. And I can't believe his like team member like brought that up at that point. I'm just like, yeah, like, is this what I'm going to be known for, is like staged fights in front of clubs at 1:30 in the morning?
Jan Van Eck doesn't remember you at all. Don't worry. If you want to take risk with Bitcoin, I would just buy MicroStrategy stock. If you want to just take big risk, I would plow a bunch of money into a quality meme coin like Whiff and then just wait. But I mean like size. I mean like really plow some money into it if you're fiending for risk. Anyway, look, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by Mani, one of the co-founders of Kreatorhood. Very, very excited for this. Kreatorhood is our partner for today. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thanks. Very impressed. You said my name correctly. Most people, I get Manny or something else. You got it on the first try.
Well, Maani. I mean, come on. You're not like.
I know, but I've gotten Manny a lot.
Yeah, it's not Manny, the property manager of Nick's building. It's Mani, the co-founder of Kreatorhood. Come on now.
Yeah, very
Mani,
good.
friends with Yanni.
So Mani, welcome to the show. Happy to have you here, and big shout out, to you and Kreatorhood for partnering with us. For people that are unaware, I'd love like a 60-second rundown, super simple, of what Kreatorhood is and what really the goal is. That for what you guys are building towards.
Yeah, so we are an NFT marketplace where you could do secondary trading, but equally there's a creator launchpad where as a creator, even as a Web2 creator, you can come on no friction and create NFTs. So someone can come on with no understanding of crypto wallets, any of that, and they can go and effectively create and trade NFTs. Think of it like, for a Web2 audience, it'll be like a Patreon equivalent. In Web3, you could do what you do on Blur, what you do on OpenSea, Magic Eden, plus Friend Tech. So there's SocialFi elements as well.
And you kind of touched on it. There's a proper fiat on-ramp.
Yeah. And it's not just like us partnering with someone. Like, we spent 18 months building it. So like, if you go to some sites where you just use a credit card, that's not what we have. Like, we can actually pay you in your bank account. So it's like, we built that. So we can pay people in 200 countries in their bank account, WeChat, all of that, right? So that's a side of it that's more hidden under the rails, because a lot of Web3 folks aren't as interested in that. But our view is that by having those fiat rails, you get more creators, more content, which become more NFTs, which become tradable, in turn, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's very juicy to me. I understand that there's a certain audience that is not interested, but there is a quote Web3 audience that has a job, like is a successful person, and then wants to invest in the space. And you're essentially taking a step of friction away by having a bit of a one-stop shop where it's like, hey, I can actually, deploy fiat into this platform and then use it, to invest in the different, assets, the projects that I'm interested in. So we talked a little bit about this season 1 airdrop, the TGE event that's happening on Wednesday. How can people participate on this? This is 48 hours from now. I'd love to hear, this is coming on the day of another sizable airdrop in the space, Tensor. I think a lot of people are interested in these kind of NFT marketplace or NFT, company tokens. How do people kind of participate in this? What do people need to know about this?
Yeah, so close to 70% is going to the community. So it's pretty chunky there. There is there's a clear value accrual of the token. So you got a share of revenues. And there's massive volume incentives. So I think ultimately everyone who trades gets tokens on the platform. And these are not locked tokens and all that, right? Like, so we're giving out close to 2 million tokens every single day for people who are trading on the platform. So the way you participate, first off, the whitelist is very concentrated. So we've actually gone the opposite route of most airdrops, where they're 100K plus. Whitelist is sort of 5 to 7K. And the reason for that is because it's going to a combination of certain collection holders, people who participate in the beta, and high volume traders. So it's that combination really. And so we wanted it to be juicier for more folks. Whereas when you look at some of the recent airdrops, like you look at Blur, their lower tally was like a quarter of a Blur they gave people, right? Whereas here it's going to be a larger, chunkier airdrop.
Very interesting that you bring up Blur. I was going to ask, so Blur doesn't have any fees. That's kind of, everybody knows that. That's kind of Blur's little claim to fame. So why would someone use Kreatorhood and pay fees when they could trade for free on Blur?
Yeah, great question. So today we have 0 fees, but the fee switch goes on TGE. Those fees will be 2%. So you'd be like, why would I ever pay that, right? But the idea is, because we're giving away close to 2 million tokens every day, essentially, as long as the token price, as long as we're above a $4 million market cap, then the amount of tokens you earn for each trade is worth more than the fees that you're paying on the trade, right? So think of it, tokens launching at around 90 million FTV. So I think at those levels, you're actually making a chunky APY compared to paying 0. And those fees, they're not just going, to the company, they're actually getting redistributed to all token holders, which you will be a part of, right? As someone who's trading on the platform.
Okay, so basically the tokens are distributed from the supply on a daily basis. And how does this play out, longish term? Like, how does this go down over months and even years,
Yeah. So when you look at previous platforms like LooksRare that have done this, I think they had a very, they didn't do it for a long term, right? Like they had it 30 days and then it halved and then went down, right? Yeah. So this stays for 6 months consistently at this level, then drops down into a year, and then there's other things I think that will come post that that we'll kind of share in due course. But that 1.7 million a day is for the first 100 days, so that does not drop down. And then after 6 months, it goes to 600K a day, right?
Very interesting. You offhandedly kind of mentioned, and if anyone else has a question, feel free to jump in. But I just want to ask, since you're kind of describing the product as like a mix of Blur, OpenSea, and Friend Tech, I think people would understand a mix of Blur and OpenSea. I think throwing the Friend Tech component in is where people might have questions. Yeah. Can you talk? And it's obviously the product's called Kreatorhood. So can we talk about that component?
Yeah. So the SocialFi element is we wanted to make NFTs more consumer friendly, like mainstream friendly. So, a lot of Web2 folks, they're not necessarily inherent traders, right? They want to support creators. So the idea there is things like a rev share on your favorite creator, right? Where you can actually trade that, or live streams, access to events, etc. But these are not one-offs, right? There's a lasting element of it. So, you go in as a Web2 creator and you say, hey, I'm raising money for my next album, right? And my NFT holders get a share of those album sales. And that is actually embedded in the smart contract, that relationship. And it travels from platform to platform. So we built 2 new EIPs that effectively have it so if you don't pay the royalty, this is just for the SocialFi element. If you don't pay the royalty, you lose out on the utility that comes with it. So you still own the NFT, but all of a sudden you have a rev share NFT without the rev share until you pay that back, right? So the idea is allow mainstream creators to onboard with fiat rails, create this stuff, distribute it to their global audience, and have it be intuitive for those, right? So I think when you look at a Friend Tech, at least the V1, not only did it not have that fiat element, but equally you couldn't actually trade those, on other platforms, right? So here you can do the fiat element. You can have a much wider set of creators. There's a built-in royalty component for the creator, and then it's much lower fees and everything. So I think the SocialFi element is something that's going to come in our second and third airdrop, which we're doing, and that'll feature with the creator launch.
Super interesting, super juicy. How many people are on the team? Like, what's the organization looking like?
Yeah, so 21 people on the team. Yeah, so I'm a co-founder. My background was in TradFi. So Nick, you're mentioning running $1 billion. I actually used to run a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund. So that was my background for many years. I got into crypto, started trading crypto, got into NFTs, realized that there's a lot more you can kind of do with it, and that's why we kind of created it. Some other folks from the community that you may be aware of, like Josh Ong, who's head of strategy, and he was on BAYC Council and familiar face in the space. My co-founder is ex-Patreon creator. So yeah, and then we have a big team of devs, but we've all been together for a couple of years building.
Nice. Nick?
Well, would you say that managing that hedge fund is what enabled you to afford a room of the size that you're currently seated in? And how many rooms in your current, is this a pied-à-terre, or is this one of your larger houses in this?
No, bro, it's not like that. No, actually, most people say it looks like a prison. Like I'm stuck in this thing. But no,
the closets look pretty nice. So I'm or closet slash.
No, it's not that big. The reason I actually mentioned the hedge fund background is because some other folks who've also kind of come from TradFi into NFTs have commented on the fact that there are some similarities. Like, so I used to run a fund that traded derivatives, fixed income, bonds, credit default swaps. So a lot of illiquid stuff that was very gappy in price action. And it was very name specific. So it's not like, you're just looking at the whole space is moving up, whole space is moving down. There's like idiosyncratic news on every name. So I think there's a lot of similarities between that background and what we ended up doing.
All right. Well, I love that. And a very effective way of avoiding the question to express the square footage on that pied-à-terre, but that's all good.
No pied-a-terre. It's not a pied-a-terre.
There you go. Primary residence, Nick, not a pied-a-terre.
I don't even understand what that is.
So look, if people want to get involved, they should list NFTs on Kreatorhood.com. That's Kreatorhood with a K to qualify for the airdrop. They should follow Kreatorhood on X. That's just at Kreatorhood with a K again. Anything else that people should know, Monty?
Yeah, I think the airdrop is in a couple days, so you still can't qualify. But even right after that, there's 2 other airdrops that are coming. Plus, there's the ability to get all the trading rewards every day. So what I would say is, the airdrop 9% of supply, right? But we're giving out 60% plus to the community, and a lot of that's these trading rewards. So even if you feel like you don't have time to qualify, definitely would encourage you to kind of list and trade, because the way those tokens kind of go to people is it's split between buyers and sellers. So every day pro rata share, you get those tokens. So that'll end up being much bigger than airdrops.
And people are asking how much time they have left to qualify for Wednesdays. Do we have a cutoff on that?
Yeah, cutoff will be it'll be right basically 3 hours before. So it'll be Wednesday morning.
Okay, so
Yeah,
people still have today and tomorrow, and I mean, depending on what time zone they're in, the morning on Wednesday.
Yeah, and the way you get points is really listing. Buying gets you double points, and then referring, which you earn 10% of anyone who refers points. But yeah.
Awesome, Monty. Well, look, it was a real pleasure chatting with you and checking out your pied-à-terre, very low square footage. Any closing thoughts, anything else people need to know about Kreatorhood, what you guys are building, something to look out for?
Yeah, just keep an eye on the space. I think the incentives, which we've released with the tokenomics today, are probably some of the most generous that have kind of come out there. And given it's a concentrated airdrop, it'll be pretty chunky.
I'm excited to see how it plays out. Things are getting juicy on the NFT side this week. Love to see it. And also just love to see people with qualified backgrounds building, legitimate businesses in the space, and ultimately, doing things that are new that push the space forward. So it was a real pleasure chatting with you, and excited to continue to work with Kreatorhood and see how things play out this week and beyond.
Thanks. And obviously, we know that Bodogas are on Solana as well, but like going forward, that is definitely a chain that we're looking to integrate very soon.
Good call. Love to hear it. That's what I'm talking about. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Watch out for Solana potentially in the future on Kreatorhood. Big shout out to Monty. Give Kreatorhood a follow on X. That's at Kreatorhood with a K. You see it on the YouTube screen here. I'm sure Clemente has it pinned on Twitter Spaces as well. Monty, thanks for joining the show, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Yep. See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Monday, April 8th. We do the show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time each and every week. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, YouTube, X Platform Video, Twitter Spaces, wherever you get your content. We are here. Daily Bone Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time, with more discussion on the NFT and crypto markets.